Good morning. Have your habits kind of fallen by the wayside during the last few months? Has your house kind of gone to pot, so to speak? If it has, trust me, you are not alone, so do not feel bad. Hi, if we haven't met before, I'm Shelly and I'm the blogger behind Taming Frenzy, and I'm glad that you're here this morning. If you're on my email list, you know that yesterday I talked a little bit about how habits can affect what goes on at our house and how our home feels. And so this morning I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of those home habits and some things we can do to help improve those to feel more in control at our house. Now, it is not uncommon during times of stress, and goodness knows the last few months for most of us have been extremely stressful. It's not uncommon during those times for our habits to kind of fall apart, for our routines and the daily things that we do to just totally get pushed aside while we are under stress and while we are coping with all of the things that are bothering us. And when we realize that that's the case, we've got a couple of options. One is we can really get down on ourselves. We can feel bad. We can feel like, oh my goodness, I'm such a loser. I'm so horrible. I'm not taking care of things. Or we can accept it, realize that it is what it is, make a plan, move on, and improve things. Now, I don't know about you, but I have recently kind of looked around at my own habits and my own house and realized it is time to make some changes. The stress has gone on long enough, and so have the bad habits. But when we look around, sometimes we look around at our house and we think, oh my goodness, I need to change everything. Everything is a horrible mess. And then we think, okay, we've got to get this complicated plan made and we've got to tackle this area and that area and another area. And folks, let's be honest with ourselves. If we try to change too many things at once or start on too many things, we're really setting ourselves up for failure. We're going to be a lot better off if we start small and just work on one little thing at a time. One little habit, one little task, one little area. And so that's where our habits come into play here. You know, sometimes the best place to start with our habits is to think about the good habits that we have had that we have kind of let slide for a little while we're under stress or while things are chaotic. It often is much easier to reinstitute or to reform a previously good habit than it is to totally start from scratch. That's because those old habits that are the good habits, they begin to feel familiar once we start doing those again. You get a certain amount of muscle memory and automaticity that comes into play when you're doing something again that you used to do frequently. So that's a place I recommend for us to start. And I also don't think that we should underestimate the power of those little habits to add up. Little habits can make a big change. And in fact, if you look around in nature, you can see that little things over a long period of time have the power to either build up or they have the power to tear down and destroy. And the thing that comes immediately to mind for me is a cave, the cave formations. My family used to love to go through caves. Now, not those wild, natural, undomesticated caves that you crawl on your belly and you might come up close and personal with things hiding in ledges and rocks. No, not that kind of cave, but the domesticated caves with good lights and handrails and stairs. But we used to love going through those and to look at the stalactites and the stalagmites and to realize that those things were built up or built down from the ceiling over a period of time is pretty amazing when you think about it. And actually, the same thing can happen with our habits. Little things have a big power over time. So when we're getting our habits back in place and we're getting our house back on track, let's just start very, very small. Okay. First off, I would recommend you look at the one thing in your house that is driving you the craziest. The one thing that is the biggest issue that's making you nuts, that is just really gnawing at you. That one thing. And start there. And the reason is by starting with that one area that's bothering you the most, you'll begin to feel the most immediate relief from that. And you'll begin to feel an immediate difference. Now, if you were walking along out taking a nature hike and you snagged your finger on something and tore your fingernail, and at the same time you got a really bad sticker in your foot, which one would you deal with first? You would probably stop and get the sticker out of your foot because it hurt badly every time you put your weight on it, and then you would deal with your fingernail. Okay, same thing happens at home. If you will identify the area that's causing you the most distress, the most angst, the most frustration, and work on that area first, you will begin to notice the biggest difference immediately. You'll feel better and you'll begin to feel more in control. So identify the one area of your home. Then once you have identified the one area in your home, now you can identify the one particular thing within that area. For example, at my house, I will be honest, I am an advocate of meal planning. I have meal planned for ages and ages, but truthfully, the last few months, I haven't been real good about that. I almost am embarrassed to admit how many nights we have had popcorn for supper because I really hadn't made a meal plan and didn't have anything fixed. Part of that was because we've been busy working on some other projects that were taking a lot of time, and one of those was some recipe development that we're doing. And by the time we would get to the end of the day, we would have been in the kitchen a lot already, and then the thought of going in and making another meal just was, more than you wanted. So we've reverted to a lot of, popcorn for dinner. So that's an area for me that I need to work on. But some other areas might be the laundry, or it might be the clutter in your house. And this is where a concept called habit stacking can help us. Now, if you're not familiar with what habit stacking is where you take a habit that you've already got, okay, and you pair something new with that habit. That helps to reinforce. Habit stacking makes it easier for the new habit or for the new little task to become a habit because you've paired it with something that you're already doing. For example, I need to start back meal planning. I need to get better about that. One way I can pair that with a habit I already have is one night a week when I sit down to watch the news, I can plan one meal. Now, I'll be honest, I would like to tell myself that I will sit down like I used to do on Sunday afternoons or Saturday afternoons and plan breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 7 days. But I'm probably not going to right now since I'm out of the habit. But if I will get back in the habit of planning one meal while I'm already doing something that I do anyway, then it will be easier to add the second meal that I need to plan as well. Another way to habit stack is every morning I go up and I put on a kettle of water to start boiling some water because we go through a gallon of iced tea every day. If the clutter in the kitchen is something that's bothering me, I can habit stack. I can put on the kettle of water to boil, and while I'm waiting for it to come to a boil, I can put away the clean dishes from the night before. If you use a dishwasher, you can empty the dishwasher. If you do dishes by hand and have left dishes in the dish drainer, put those away. But I am pairing something I need to get done with something I'm already doing, which makes it more likely that I'm going to remember then to do that. Another thing, if the bathroom clutter is something that's driving you nuts, a way to habit stack is every morning when you brush your teeth, while you're brushing your teeth, go ahead and with the other hand, be straightening some of those things off the countertop, putting away the hair dryer or the makeup or the toiletries, whatever, because that way you are brushing your teeth, which is already a habit, and you're putting away something that is bothering you. Now, what are some other small type things we can do? Because small things really do add up. Now, one example might be to plan a day that you do one type of laundry. At my house, the rule is my laundry Monday. That's a way I always remember, and everyone in the house knows that the washer and dryer belongs to Mom on Monday. So that's a way. You can also make sure that you tell yourself that when those clothes come out of the dryer, they are going to get hung up or put up, and they're not going to sit in the laundry basket all week. Another small habit that you might want to incorporate, my Nana had a rule. Anytime she got up to leave one room, she took a quick look around the room and she never left a room empty-handed. She'd stand up to go to the kitchen or go somewhere else. She looked around and she said, what's out of place? What belongs somewhere else? And her rule was never leave a room empty-handed. If there's something out of place that belongs somewhere else, take it while you're going. Another little small habit might be to, when you finish cooking or finish dinner, to go ahead and take just a minute and rinse out the pots and pans or the plate. It doesn't take but just a second, and that way you don't come back to a dried on, crusty mess. It's going to take a lot more elbow grease and a lot more time. One thing that is a habit with us after years of coming back to skillets that were a mess. After we make scrambled eggs in the morning, we immediately, before that the egg has a chance to solidify and turn into concrete, take a minute right then before we eat and go ahead and clean that skillet. It literally takes us about 30 seconds then, where if we wait until the egg turns to concrete, it's going to take a whole lot more time later. So that's another very small little habit, a very small little habit that we can do that will keep us from having great bigger tasks later. If laundry is something that bothers you, I'm going to be honest. I am a girl who never met a blouse that I could not stain the very first time I wore it. And if that's something that's an issue for you, keep a stain stick, the solid kind that you rub on stains, or the spray kind. Keep it close to where you undress, and if you've gotten a spot or something on your clothing during the day, when you're taking off your clothes at the end of the evening, go ahead and right then treat that stain before you put it in the laundry hamper. That's an easy way to help make that laundry easier. Another very small thing you can do is what we used to always call the 10-minute tidy. And at the end of the day, just 10 minutes. We'd put on a little music or put on a program people could kind of listen to in the background and spend 10 minutes and everybody in the house just picking up and putting away. 10 minutes didn't take very long, went a long way towards keeping the house looking decent. So these small things, small little habits that once they become habits, they add up over time. They're the kind of things that are going to make our home look better, feel better, and function better, which is then going to make us feel more in control and is going to make life at home be just a little bit easier, which goodness knows, while everybody is stressed and the world seems turned upside down, life at home being a little easier is certainly something to strive for. Once we've then gotten one more thing added, then it makes it easier to add the next little habit and then the next little habit, and those turn into great big habits over time. In the meantime, hope you have a wonderful week and go tame a little bit of your frenzy.